Good evening, everyone. Our meeting is officially started, and this is the St. Petersburg International Rotarian Club. Some people call it the Rotary Club of St. Petersburg International. Depends on which way you want to word it, but it's the same thing. We got a bunch of smiling faces here this evening. Good evening, Andres. Glad you could join us also. And Walter, good evening. We got a lot of smiling faces.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. From all over the world, close and far away. Welcome. Glad to see you're all here. Glad you're all having a good time. This evening, we've got a very interesting speaker who's going to talk about an interesting topic to us. Maybe it'll be interesting for you also. You know, if you go back in history, the club that the Rotary Club you belong to somewhere in the world, wherever that is, when did it start? Who started it? Who was the founder? Why did they start? Tonight, we're going to be finding that out about our club. We have Alexander Siboni, who's going to give us the history of our club because he was here when it started. So he's going to be telling us about that. So we not only need to look back in our own past to see where our Rotarian clubs have come, but we also need to think about how we have had people around the world connect with us. Before, we used to connect by global grants. It was telephone calls, emails, faxes, pictures, and now folks are doing it online, which is quite a bit different. Here, the communication happens a lot quicker. There's still mistakes being made, not understanding what someone said without getting it clarified, and then going away and thinking they said one thing when they said another. So online is good to see people's faces, to see them smile, to talk to them, but we still are making communications errors and communications mistakes. So we just need to be careful about that when we are online, because sometimes people talk very fast. And if they do, we miss a few words and it changes the whole meaning of the sentence. I know with some folks here that I was working with it back in the United States a few months ago, I made a statement and they misunderstood it. My fault, spoke a little bit too quick. So you just need to be a little bit slower and a little bit more articulate so people can understand you. Because now you're talking to people who English may not be their first language. It may be their second or third, or their accent may be much different than yours, not like yours or mine. Maybe it's like something quite a bit different. So we have to listen more intently. One of the things that I've been talking to people about recently is intentional listening. You should listen with the intent to understand, not for the intent to reply. Listen for the intent to understand. And then once you understand, then you can form your reply and be able to listen. So I recommend that to those of you who sometimes, like me, Mom used to call me wooden ears when I was little. She said, Michael, you never listen, you got wooden ears. Well, I think that I have learned to be a little bit better listener now, and hopefully my ears are not wooden anymore. But we just need to pay attention and hear what's going on. I'm going to go through my president's notes in just a moment here. Let me get to the screen where they are at. And then we're going to hear from the secretary after I'm done. And as the president, we have a dilemma that we're going to be facing, and we're not quite sure how we're going to do it. You know, we are a small club. You all know that. And with a transfer of power coming up on June 30th and July 1st, we're going to have to make some drastic changes, or the option is no change at all. And I know that's not the way Rotary normally works, but we're addressing that problem now to our superiors so that we can try to get it worked out. We're going to try to keep some of the same people in the same positions without rotating. Small club, not many people to step up and do the other jobs that need to be done. So we may repeat. I'm hoping that is a good thing, but I don't know. So we do have some fresh blood in our club. We've got one new member, and we give some other people some different assignments. So we're trying to go forward, but it's not always easy. And we really, really appreciate all the people joining us tonight. Right now, we got 21 people. We'll probably get up to about 30 before we're finished, and we're only have a 9-member club. I don't know many 9-member clubs that have 25 to 30 people attending, so we feel very fortunate. So thank you all very, very much for coming. And we're going to go through some growing pains this coming spring and summer, no matter what happens. So stand by to hear what happens from us in the future. I would like to, at this time, go ahead and turn it over to our secretary. And Mr. Secretary, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Michael. Sorry, I have a bit of a lag here. Let me move that over. Okay, I have a few things to share, which let me bring my presentation up here. Okay. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. Yeah, here we go.
Oops.
Here we go. And play. Right, secretary notes for today are basically just about who we have coming up as speakers. So next week, we have Robert Mororo, who's going to speak to us about the Maktaba project in Kenya, Nairobi, which his club in Dundas, Ontario is conducting together with the Nairobi club. And the Nairobi club that he's working with was created from a group of Rotaractors. The week after that, I've just learned that we will have a speaker, Michelle Berit, who lives in Moscow and is a columnist with the Moscow Times. She's also published a book called The Russian Wordsworth several years ago, and she'll be speaking on some aspect of cross-cultural communication between Russia and abroad. And Michelle comes from the United States. On the 24th of March, we're very fortunate to have the past chair of the International Polio Plus Committee, Dr. Robert Scott, who will be speaking to us about where, how the Polio Plus project started and how it's gone over the past 30 years. And I just learned he is now the chairman emeritus of the International Polio Plus Committee. On the 31st, Antonina Vasilyeva-Durham and Renia Timinsky will give us a presentation about the Pushkins in Quinte. So if you've never been to Quinte, you can see on the screen where it is. It's on Lake Ontario, south of Ottawa, west of Kingston. It probably has a lot of snow now. And that's it. So back to you, President Michael.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that, Randall. Again, we're going to try to keep the speakers rolling, keep them coming. And Randall and I talked a little bit about this earlier this evening, and we have more speakers coming for you. So we're just going to keep on trying to keep it going. One of the things we're going to be doing is in a few weeks from now, we're going to be adding some speakers who are going to speak from the ICC. We're going to talk about the cooperation, the things that are going on, what the projects are. So in a few more weeks, we will have them on board. And I know many of you are interested in what the ICC are doing. So they will be here. Okay. I did not start our meeting last week or this week the way I normally do. What was missing? Anybody can tell me what's missing? Huh? Yeah, Henny, you tell me what was missing.
The four-way test.
Oh my goodness. How did anybody let me get by without doing that? How did you guys?
Randall, of course, the secretary should know.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Sorry, Randall.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that we do that. My apologies. It's my error, and I'm going to correct that right now. Let me find it here. All right.
Or maybe the sergeant.
I'm going to read the four-way test, and I would like for all of you to turn on your microphones, please. Everybody, unmute yourself. Turn on your microphones. Everyone, please. Okay. I'm going to read the lines, and after I do, I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. The four-way test of things that we think, say, and do. The first one is Is
Is it the truth?
Truth.
Is
Is
it
it the truth?
Is it fair to
Fair
all
to all
concerned?
concerned.
Is it fair
Is
to
it fair to
all
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 concerned?
concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Will it
Will
build
it
build
goodwill and
Goodwill
better
and better
friendship?
friendship?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all
Beneficial to all
concerned?
concerned.
Very good. Thank you all very much. You can go ahead and mute yourself. I'm going to be bringing on the speaker here in just a moment, so please mute yourself again. We are, I don't know how to word it. We're a little pleased and surprised and so forth to have Alexander with us tonight. I met Alexander in 2010 when I joined the St. Petersburg Club. Him and Berit were very active in the club. They had a small restaurant in town. They were doing many different things. And I didn't realize that he had been a past president of the club. Didn't know that. Didn't realize it at the time. But he's been a member since the club was founded. And I'm not going to tell you about all that because he's going to tell you about that this evening. But by profession, he's a skills development expert. He teaches trainers how to be trainers. He teaches people how to build courses, develop courses for training. So he's got a lot of expertise in several different countries, traveling around a variety of them. The list here looks like it's about 20, 25 countries long. Alexander, you may have a few more than I do. I worked 18 countries in the last 20 years, but I think you got a few more than I do here. So that's very, very good. He holds a master's degree from the University of Southern Denmark. So he is a college graduate. He does have a brain on his shoulders. He does have a lovely wife, and he's going to be our guest speaker tonight. Now, when we asked him what he would like to speak about, he told us that he would like to talk about our club history. And we said, well, we know our club history. And the fact is, we do not know our club history. So we're going to find out about that this evening. We're going to find out a little bit about our origin. And again, I don't know if you know about your origin of your club. If not, after tonight, you may want to go back and ask those questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Alexander and we'll see what he has to say. Alexander, the virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you all for joining in. I'm happy to see that there are many people around here also who have been present at the same time when I was present in St. Petersburg. I can see Gabriela, I can see Irina, and Michael was there as well. Andreas is there as well. I think even we were the ones who were convincing Andreas to get into St. Petersburg International Rotary Club. So it's nice to see that your recommendations were right at the point of time. Okay, as Michael said, I was asked to talk about the origin of St. Petersburg International Rotary Club. So that is what I will do. And I have prepared a short presentation, so we will dig into this and then we will see if it works out all right. So in writing, a lot of times this club has been called SIRC, St. Petersburg International Rotary Club. And it is seen from the perspective of a charter member because I'm a charter member. I'm Danish origin. In terms of St. Petersburg International Rotary Club, I was charter member 2005. I was president 2007 and 8. And then I've been a member of different committees and boards until I went back to Denmark. So since 2013, I've been a member together with my wife, Berit, who was also a member of St. Petersburg International, a member of Rotary Club of Stege in Denmark. There I've had several positions and professionally, as Michael said, I'm an independent learning and development consultant. And I've lived and worked in St. Petersburg from 2002 until 2012. So 10 years in Russia. So the story about all this basically is about me and Rotary and St. Petersburg International Rotary Club. The thing was that I was starting up together with Berit and a Russian partner in 2004, a Scandinavian restaurant called Odin. There's one of the Scandinavian gods are called Odin, and as well in Russian, Odin is one. So we thought that was a good name. It was located at Petrogradskaya near Hotel St. Petersburg. So we had a lot of guests coming from Hotel St. Petersburg. In the early summer 2004, a young American man comes into our restaurant. I can't exactly remember his name, But as far as I remember, the story was that he had been a Rotarian exchange student to Norway. And he was now in St. Petersburg studying, and he had got a Russian girlfriend, and he wanted to introduce her to the Norwegian food. And since we were a Scandinavian restaurant, we served Norwegian food. His father was called Bill Robinson from Rotary Club of Seattle. Are there anybody present who happened to know Bill Robinson from Rotary Club of Seattle? No, it does not seem to be the case. Who does?
David, I do actually. I know him from work in Russia.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah,
He's
and
a-
I'm attending from Seattle, so yeah, I know Bill Robinson because I've been involved since 2000, actually, with Rotary in Russia, and he and I
Excellent.
were the main people here in this district, 5030.
Just excellent, man. Send him my kindest regards. He came in because he was attending a Rotary meeting at the Hotel St. Petersburg. So he went into our restaurant and asked me, "Are you a Rotarian yourself?" And I said, "No, I'm not. But I've been a member of a junior chamber when I was in Denmark, and it was also one of the reasons why we went to St. Petersburg." So our first meeting with Rotary was a Rotary meeting in our restaurant with the Rotary International president at that time. So my first meeting with the Rotary was with the Rotary International president and together with Bill Robinson. As a consequence, I was invited to Rotary Club of Neva as a guest, and there I met Mark Livsic. Mark Livsic had been a Rotarian since 1993, so already at that time a very experienced Rotarian in Russia. He wanted to start up an international Rotary Club together with his wife, Irina Livsic. So this is the first meeting of Rotary Club of St. Petersburg International. It was held on 21st of July 2004 in front of our restaurant here. You can see it's a Viking restaurant style. So this is Mark Livsic. I have been in contact with him last time a year ago. This is Vladimir Markov, who has been visiting Berit and me here in Denmark. This guy I don't know. This is a Dutch guest. This is me. This is our Swedish friend Christopher Wallander, the conductor. He was visiting me and Berit this very summer. This is Irina Livsic, the wife of Mark Livsic. This is Vladimir Salnikov. He wrote me this very morning. We haven't been in touch for a long time, but he wrote me. This is Katya Yesina, who speaks very good French, also a founding member. This lady, I can't remember. This guy, I can't remember, but I think he was royal. And this is Irina Salnikova, married to Vladimir Salnikov. And this is Jorge Brunet, Cuban guy who's now in Moscow, with whom I'm also regularly in contact. So this is the first meeting of the Rotary Club in front of our restaurant. So of these people here, the majority of them I'm still in contact with and having good relations on these people. So this was the first meeting of our club. What happened next? Well, then we started developing the club. So we had regular meetings. In the beginning, we met at our restaurant, but it was a small restaurant with only one room. So it was difficult to have other guests than you had the Rotary meeting. So we moved quite quickly to D'Angleterre. I knew Joanne, she's British, and her husband was working at, I think he was director at Hotel D'Angleterre. So we moved there. Then we designed the banner over here. You can see this is the angel at top of the Peter Paul Cathedral. And at that time, the northwest Russian district was a part of District 1430. As far as I remember, it was Vladimir Sutskov. He was in printing business, so he organized the design of the banner. Then we had very quickly a newsletter or a bulletin, a printed newsletter coming out regularly. And then, of course, in order to start a club, you need to gather charter members. So we were working on bringing in people to this club. As well, we received a lot of Rotary education because the majority of us had no idea about this Rotary thing. So it was not only a new club, it was also for a lot of us enjoying getting into a new organization. And both Mark and Irina were very active in educating us. What is the purpose? What are the four-way tests? What are the club's roles? what are the not the difficulties, but the possibilities of involvement in Rotary. And then we did also our own Rotary song. As far as I remember, it was Mikhail Yakolev who was the poet of the club. And then we did already before being chartered, a lot of social projects at a boarding school. And of course, we got support from our sponsor club in Lapland. So a very active autumn 2004 to get this Rotary Club up and running. From the very beginning, we had a lot of international guests. So here you can see the list of guests coming in already before we were chartered. So for me, Rotary has always been an international thing. It has always been meeting people from all kinds of the world and immediately saying hello and being on good terms and friendships. You can see here also, I just noticed that Bill Robertson was there again in October. So 2 times he has been to our club. Then we received the charter 19th of February 2005. As we are all aware, Rotary was started 23rd of February 1905. So this was basically on the 100th years anniversary of Rotary International that we received the charter. This is Mark Lifshitz with the charter. So my question to the club is, are you aware of where the charter is right now physically? Where is the club's charter? Do we know that?
We do have one. It's not the original, I don't think.
Okay, but you have one, Randall.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So as you can see, this is the front page of the Enjoy Rotary, the bulletin. And inside, when we look at the people who were present right there, this guy I can't remember. This is Irina. This is Salnikov. Here we have Palishuk, Alexander Palishuk. He's still a member. Is that correctly understood? The conductor. Yes. Very good. Here we have Suchkov, Vladimir Suchkov. His daughter Katya over here. I'm also in regular contact with. This is Amilcar Maestra from Venezuela. He is a doctor. Here we have a Finnish guy from the diplomacy, I think, as far as I remember. And here we have Yakolev. He was also a member when Michael entered, I remember. And me coming down here. And here we have Misha, with whom I've met several times afterwards in Estonia. So the people you see here were among the charter members. Some of them, I must admit, I can't remember. Some of them were mostly there by name. But the majority of these people started the club and were there for the very many first years. From the very beginning, if I look into our club to see what were the characteristics of this club, we had meetings in Russian and English. The majority of the club members did not speak English, so we were mainly having meetings in Russian, and then we did translation into English on a need basis. As I said, we had many international guests from the very beginning, which gave the whole club the international feeling, which was the intention from the very beginning. Then we did a happy dollar, and this was a collection of happy dollar or happy ruble. So at every meeting we had a small box where we collected money. People got up and explained something good had happened to them or something extraordinary, and then you gave a happy dollar or happy ruble. And this, of course, was very good when we had a lot of international guests, because they always brought a lot of cash to put into the box. And the way we spent this money was to donate to women with children in pre-trial detention. So these women were in a very unfortunate situation, because they could sit there in this pre-trial detention for several years, and they were somehow completely out of society, so nobody helped them. So we were down to very basic hygiene, diapers, hygiene things, toothpaste, shampoo, etc. So we collected the happy dollar, went to Lenta, bought the stuff, and then went into the prison. Unfortunately, I never got myself the chance to go there, but I know Berit was there with International Women's Club. Then we did social projects, especially from schools, very effectively right from the beginning. Everything was cash-based. We had no bank account. It was not possible for the organization like Rotary to set up a bank account. And this was a bit tricky when we had international guests, because many of them, they wanted to support our projects also by regular payments on bank accounts, which unfortunately was not possible. Then we had very good relations and regular meetings with the other clubs in St. Petersburg. In particular, we celebrated our club birthday because it was also a Rotary birthday on the 23rd of February. And then, of course, we had the bulletin over here. It came out regularly the first 2 years, I think, with a printed material of high quality. So very quickly from the beginning, we had all the elements that were needed for a very strong Rotary club. And this was definitely down to Mark and Irina, who had experience from Rotary and who were pushing this thing forward, definitely. So this was how it looked like from the very beginning. If I then look into Berit and me and our situation in 2005, we sold our restaurant in spring 2005, went back to Denmark. Then I got an email from Rotarian Jorge Brunet, and he wrote a very short email saying a new member, Nikolai, has a cafe restaurant but no customers, so he is looking for a partner. I said, well, if Jorge recommends Nikolai, then it must be a good guy. So we went back, and then we took over Café Jam as by November 2005. So in 2006, we were still in Rotary, and I went together with Vladimir Suchkov and Katja Suchkova and Katja Jesina to the Rotary Convention in Copenhagen in 2006. So already from the beginning, we tried to go also into the convention whenever possible. And it just comes to my mind when I see this picture that we did it in usual Russian style by chopping a tomato into 48 bites and then having a sip of the nice whiskey for each bite of the tomato. I just recently wrote with Katja, and she said that she had on a few years ago been to the same hostel in Denmark. So we are moving ahead as we planned. We also had a lot of guests coming in. This is an example of an evening of Russian cuisine and Rotary friendship held at our Café Jam in Rileva. And we have always had musical entertainment. We had very good relations with some of the young musicians. And of course, Palishuk also helped us a lot. So we always had musical entertainment. And then we usually also had some kind of auction to get money for our projects. And then coffee or tea or with Armenian cognac, and always sakushki and free drinks. So those evenings were very joyful, very joyful. It was one of the best parties we had in Café Jam, definitely. Then I was the president in 2007, 2008. My secretary was Galina Timofeeva. Unfortunately, she got cancer in her stomach and died after half a year. So Tanya Peskova had to take over as secretary. We had a weekly newsletter, so I will just show you some of the materials from that time to see how it looks like. So I will see if I can share this. No, hang on. I'll just stop sharing here and do a new share. Here we go. So this was an electronic newsletter that I set up. I, as president, made the slogan, "How can I help you?" Because it was a challenging time. This was just about where the financial crisis was about to come up. So we had in one newsletter the attendance sheet as well, and here you can see the members of the club at that time. There were from Italy, from Spanish speaking, from French, from Cuba, from Russia, me from Denmark, from Chechnya, Suleiman, and from Germany, Stephanie. So a very international club at that time. We had a lot of guests, as we could see, and a lot of happy dollars. We also had sometimes news from Rotary International and from district and from the club. And then I had a short note here from the president's word. So this we did every week as a kind of how can you say, dictionary of what happened. We also did a photo sharing. That was Salnikov. He was very good in taking photos. So here we have a photo reportage from each meeting. As I said, we had a lot of guests, so we had an awful lot of banners. So at a certain point in time, we took all the banners and put into big boards to move around, so that also when we had new guests coming in, we were explaining how we were well connected globally from the very setup. And as you can see here, there was a lot of laughing. We always had very entertaining meetings and very joyful meetings. At the end of each speech, the speaker always got a souvenir. So here, this I think it's Italian guy talking about development in real estate in Russia, as far as I remember. And then Mariana is counting the happy dollar. So that was always a good point when we were counting how much we got in. So this was going on almost every week. Then in 2007 also we did a very huge project with a matching grant project together with the Notslechka. Notslechka is an NGO working for homeless people. The homeless people in St. Petersburg were big in numbers, and they had very unfortunate situations for them, because many of them came from what we would consider a normal life, and then all of a sudden, due to circumstances, they became homeless. So we did a huge project where we received $8,000 from a Rotary Foundation. We were many clubs involved down here. Rotary Club of Bettendorf, $2,000. Our club contributed $4,000. Rotary Club of Davenport, $2,000. District 6,000, I think that's also US, 4,000. So in total, a project of $22,000, which was quite a big project at that time. It took some years for it. You can see we got the approval 2008, and it was not before 2010 that the project actually came up. So this was the tent that was raised with our logo on. This is taken minus 22 degree, very cold. I remember the evening very well, 2010 in January. And the concept was quite simple. The tent was there. There was a small heater down here. And then the people came in, and then they came in with the sleeping bags, and they just slept here. We funded some tea, so they were served tea with sugar. That was a part of the budget, but the evening food was brought in by this Nochnaya Autobus that came from Notslechka. So it was a very successful project because the tent could be used for several years going forward. So that was in 2010. And then, of course, in 2010, also we had our 5th year's anniversary. So this is the invitation sent to other Rotary clubs for our 5th anniversary, held at Darnechair. And we had always a lot of sharing of information. We had performance of a theater, and then we always had a charity auction. And that was also interesting because the clubs, different clubs in St. Petersburg at that time, they had different kind of people. So sometimes we had some of the, how can you say, club members who were rich in cash, who put a lot of money on the table for these charity auctions. So we could bring in quite a lot of money for joint projects. So this was what happened during my year and the years after, so to speak. We also had, as I mentioned, a lot of guests coming in. Many Italians came, and when I was the president, I remember many times we started the meeting, and then all of a sudden, 7:15, 20 hungry Italians are outside singing, "Oh, solo mio," and all were happy and thinking, and they were always very hungry, and we never had a lot of food. So it was very joyful. It was very joyful, but also to some extent quite stressful, because we never know what happens. And the thing was that it was mentioned on the Rotary International website that we had our meetings there, and it was right in the center, So a lot of people always passed by. Then we had the matching grant and the club here. In 2010, we did another big project, also with matching grants. It was the time of Gorkhan, president. I think Stephanie was here also, and here we have Berit together with the bus. In 2011, we had club members going to the convention in New Orleans, and there were a lot of Russians in New Orleans, so there was a very huge evening of Russian and American friendship there. This is Stephanie, me, and Berit going to the convention. And this is already history, as I say. I see some very young and some very thirsty men here visiting Baltica in 2011. In 2012, 7 members participated in the convention in Bangkok. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any photos, but that was also it. And then the last time I was there, 2015, for the 10 years anniversary, held at the Winter Garden with the Palishuk, Vladimir Markov here, and Sutskov and Sutskova, and me there together with Berit. A huge celebration. I think we were somewhere around 50, 60 people or something like that. So yeah, that was the 10 years anniversary of our club. So that's basically it. That's the origin of St. Petersburg International Rotary Club. Thank you for your attention, and if there are any questions or comments, I would of course be happy to hear. Thank you.
Is Michael with us? Or we lost Michael? We lost our M's. Michael, are you here? Anybody see Michael? Maybe. Oh, I see Michael, but no video.
No, video is off. And the microphone is
All right.
on.
Well, let me be the MC here. So, Henny, you have a question?
Yes, Alexander, thank you for the presentation and to give us a look on how the club started. I also started up a club in China, Chengdu.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, it was very difficult to get members.
Yeah.
How did you do that as a club? Did you have a connection with another organization from where you could get members, or how did it work?
No. What happened was that Mark and Irina, I think, knew the Salnikov and Sutskov, and then they invited people that they knew. Okay. So in the beginning, it was friend of friends, so to speak. Yeah. Berit and me, we had the situation that we were new to St. Petersburg, so to speak. I mean, we had been there for 2 years at that time, so we didn't know a lot of people whom we could actually trust. You know, Rotary is based on trust and based on recommendations. So we also had some situations where people came in and I asked the other ones, okay, who knows this guy? I mean, where is he coming from or she coming from? Yeah. Because you have to be very careful in the beginning to get the right people. Also, you have to identify Rotarians. I mean, one thing is to be a member of a Rotary Club, but that does not necessarily mean that you are Rotarian by heart and understanding. You know, okay. Might be able to read the 4-way test, but to implement the 4-way test, that's another thing. You know. Yeah. So it was friends of friends, and I also I think I brought in myself during the first year 5 or 6 people, you know, who I knew and who I trusted. You know. Okay. So, but it is challenging because you like to grow numbers, you know. But yeah. Time exactly. You have, you know, to verify people.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. Gabriela has a question I can see. Yeah.
Gabriela.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so happy to see you again, Berit and Alexander. And thank you for your very good overview on how you established this club. And I remember very well, we were sitting in your kitchen also Andreas Bohn, he participated. We had visited sometimes already the club, but no one had asked us, do you want to become a member? So we said, okay, perhaps they do not want us. And then we met in your kitchen, you and Stephanie, and you explained us what is Rotary, what do we expect, what are we doing, and you are very welcome. And I can say it for myself, but I think also in your name, Andreas, this was the moment we said, okay, I think this is a very good idea and we want to join this club. So thank you again for this, and very happy to see you again here.
Thank you, Gabriel. We are, in fact, Berit and me, trying to suggest the same approach in our Rotary Club, to bring people in groups, and to have these orientation evenings, or whatever you call them. Also, to make it very clear from the beginning what is the expectation. I mean, what does a club expect from a member, and what does Rotary mean? Because it is much more than just meeting on a Wednesday and eat at Daneta. You know, it has huge implications or can have in your life, definitely. So we are happy to see that Andreas was there also, and Gabriele. So you are still here. So have we kept our promise, Gabriele?
Absolutely, you did.
Yes.
And I'm now
Okay, very good. Thank you, guys. Then we are happy. Then we are happy.
I'm now a member of the oldest club in Flensburg, founded in '56, with many people from economy and professors. And sometimes I have to say, to tell them, well, you know, we did it this way in Petersburg, and we did it that way. What do you think about? And there are quite some ideas they took on, and yes, I think it was a very, very good time to me to be in Petersburg in our club.
Very good, Gabriel. We should meet up. Flensburg is not very far from us, so
Oh, that's great. So you're welcome. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I think Andreas would like to ask a question or say something. Andreas, did you want to say something?
You're talking to me?
Yes,
Oh.
I'm talking to you.
I just can underline what Gabriela said. It was a tiny kitchen. We were sitting opposite each other and raised sometimes some nasty questions, but Berit and Alexander were able to answer and to wish away our doubts we had. We put them friendly on the table in order to understand the organization, and they could convince us that our doubts are not right. And as Alexander said before, this is what I fully underline. To be a Rotarian is not just participating in a meeting. It has to come from the inside, from the soul.
Yes.
And in order to learn this, the only way is to meet, to be together, to have fun together, and to start small projects together. And then you can see whether a member is willing to support or not. So it's not a question rather than support what Alexander said and Gabriela.
Thank you, Andreas. And this thing with putting facts on the table right from the beginning. I mean, the first out of the four-way test is it the truth? You know, so you bring the facts in right away.
Right.
Thank you. Rami would like to ask a question. Rami, can you go ahead? Unmute yourself, please.
Yes, hello. First of all, Alexander, thank you very much for your presentation. And it is very helpful to see all of the history, especially from your side. I am a new member myself. I come from Dubai. I'm an ex-banker. And I have two questions. So I see that, first of all, because I come from a banking side, there is no bank account open. Were there any attempts to open a bank account, or was this just automatically closed and left on the side? That's the first question. Second question, it's quite very sensitive getting new members and trust issues. Why are we being so protective when it comes to hiring new members or bringing in them? What are we afraid of? What are we scared, and what to look for? Thank you.
Yeah, for the first this thing with the bank, there were attempts from the Rotary Club in Moscow to get the whole Rotary organization approved as yeah, as an organization, I can't remember the exact legal name of it, that could open a bank account. So we tried to open a Rotary in Russia bank account that all clubs could meet, not to meet, but could use to collect funds and to take funds out. But it never really materialized. So what we did was that we used members' bank accounts in Russia when we needed, for example, for this tent, we needed receipt that it was paid legally in Russia with the sini stamp and all these things. And it was always very complicated because it was slowing down business, and it was difficult to explain foreigners that we don't have a bank account. I mean, what do you mean you don't have a bank account? Well, I mean, we don't have a bank account. Okay, but how can you not have a bank account? And so it was a bit tricky. So there were many attempts, and it was a part of the whole legalization process of Rotary. And it was also when we started to have our own district, you know, that was, I think, 2 or 3 years, I can't remember exactly, after I joined, that Rotary in Russia was going into 2 districts and then afterwards into 1 district. So they tried from district perspective also to get the bank account. I don't know, do you have a bank account now, or how does it work?
May I jump in on this?
Yes.
No, we don't have.
No.
The reason is that we are not legally registered as a club. If we would be legally registered, we would be an NGO, non-governmental organization.
Yeah, exactly.
Non-governmental organizations in Russia are under the magnifying glass of the system in order to avoid that money from outside the country is laundered through these organizations to support the opposition to the state. This is the full background of it. And to get a registration of an NGO is extremely difficult and extremely, the members who are then the charter members, the real charter members, who are then on the board, they are under the magnifying glass of the system here. And it's not only the persons, it's also their, which activities are they in, what kind of money flows they have from their account to the foreign account, abroad, from abroad into, so there's a lot of things to be thought of before doing this. And when we talk to the lawyers to do a registration, at the end it all came down that none of us was willing to take the burden and the responsibilities which are involved with it.
Yeah, and so based on what you say, Andreas, the situation is the same as I experienced from the very beginning. Yeah, okay, so that's just how it is. Yeah. Then on the second question, I mean, this with the finding new people and what are we looking for, etc. I can explain you how I see it. For me, a Rotarian is somebody I can immediately trust. It is somebody that a group of other Rotarians have approved to the extent that for me, a Rotarian is a friend. I don't have to ask somebody whether this guy is a good guy or a bad guy. So if I come as a person to a new club, I often see it that if you want to start up a business, a new place, and you come to a club, you should have in this club all kind of classifications. So immediately you will have people you can trust for banking, for lawyers, for auditors, for market research, etc. So for me, the thing is based on trust, and trust you build by your actions. You know, as Andreas said and as Gabriela said as well, you build trust by doing things together, so that you show in your actions that what you say is what you do. And the thing is, if you just open the door to all kinds of people and say, "Come on in," you might risk, and you said, what are we afraid of? Well, what I'm afraid of is somebody coming in whom I cannot trust and who can damage the reputation of the whole organization. Because if you get people in who do not fulfill the four-way test, and this is very simple, the four-way test says it all. But a lot of people are not necessarily sticking to the truth. A lot of people are negotiating with the purpose of being the winner of the negotiation, not for mutual beneficiary, etc. So that is why you are looking for people of the right character, or whatever you call. And it is my experience that I quite often know very quickly whether people are Rotarians or not. When I met Andreas and Gabriela, I said, okay, these people are basically Rotarians. They might not know that they are Rotarians. So that was a purpose of not convincing them, but outlining for them what does it mean. I'm also pretty sure that I can, I can't say I can spot, but I have a good feeling when people are not Rotarians. I say, okay, this is talk and talk and talk, and they might join the Rotary Club for own beneficiary. They might join because in particular, not in particular, but in Russia, I've met many people who wanted to come to Rotary to get a stamp of being civilized and westernized. And that is not the purpose of a Rotary Club. That is not a purpose of the Rotary Club. I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Thank you, Alexander.
Did it bring more questions?
We have two more past presidents here. We have Gabriela and Kai, Uwe, and I wonder if you would also have some feedback for Rami on that point, because it's a very important point.
Dan has also a question.
Shall I try to answer Sami's question? Of course, there are special people who are also willing to take on responsibility for other ones. Of course, every now and then you meet some people who say, okay, do they really stick to the four-way? But normally these people are very active and engaged and committed to do also to work for other ones and to work for another, not only for themselves, but also for the benefit of other ones and of the city and so on. So normally, most of the Rotarians I've met, they really are people who are concerned about people who are not able to protect themselves and to take care for themselves. So normally, I absolutely agree what Alexander said.
And the thing also is, Rami, Rotarians should be self-managed. We are looking for people in managerial position or self-employed, etc., so they can take initiative and be proactive themselves. You can't have a club where everybody's sitting and waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. So people should be proactively as well. That's how I see it, at least.
Rami, how satisfied are you with the answers so far?
Exceeded expectations. Thank you. Perfect.
Okay, good.
So now you just have to do it. Go out and find these people. You know it. You are a banker. You know how to see through people. Yeah.
Alexander, I would like to ask you a question.
Yeah.
When I was looking at the Rotary website for the background of the club, I believe it was technically chartered in November, but from its beginning, you were always celebrating in February. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. I think I remember that we met in December, and Mark said that now they had approved, and at that time it was not completely clear for me, Randall, how this paperwork thing was, but I suppose that's what you're talking about, technically being approved as a Rotary Club as a club member of Rotary International by November, and then we received the physical charter in February.
Okay.
And
I have a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the main reason was that Mark and Irina wanted somehow to hit the 100 years anniversary. I mean, the club had the same birthday as Rotary on the 100 years of Rotary.
That makes sense to me. I have a second question. I'm curious, how closely did you collaborate with the district or the districts that you were part of? Because it was an evolution.
Yeah.
And how did they help you?
Yeah, at that time we were a part of District 1430, and we had quite good connections with our sponsor club. I think regularly, in particularly in the beginning, that members of the club in Lappeenranta were somehow present in our club to support and to verify that what we did was in accordance with what we said that we would do somehow. I think also, as far as I remember, we were also present at the district conferences. I think who was the second president? Yeah, that was Markov. Yeah, I think they all went to Finland the first 2 or 3 years, yes, to participate in the district conferences.
And can you tell me again, what was the sponsor club?
Lappeenranta, yeah, something with Lappeenranta. It is in the slide somewhere. Yeah.
You will share the slides afterwards, I hope.
Yes. Yeah.
Lappeenranta, eastern part of Finland.
Yeah. So
and I don't know if we have any current contact. We need to regain contact with that club.
Yeah, I think if you look at the names on this visitor list, many of them should be there still, Randall. So, and there must be people who remember that they were sponsoring this club, because at that time it was a lot of Finnish connections with Russia on Rotary level. And then the whole movement started of establishing a Russian district, etc. And then the district became another, how can you say, another organization to have a relationship with, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if I can ask a third question. You mentioned in your presentation about the song, and so I believe it was Suchkov's son found a video of the club singing the song. I just wonder, did you only sing it once, or were you regularly singing that song?
We were regularly singing it, and by regularly that means when we had new members, for example, when we had our birthday, when we had how can we say, more official meetings, we sang it, but we didn't sing it at every meeting. No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, but when we need it, we can ask you and Berit to come back and sing that song for us again. Yes.
It would not be my recommendation.
Okay.
Of course, you're welcome to invite us to. I will leave it to my wife, Berit. I think she. No,
I
remember
used to sing a lot of songs at KTV, so maybe we can teach him.
Yeah. No, I remember the song as being quite difficult.
Sing it to us.
Both the tune and the text.
And Antonina has been working actually on how do we say, on having the song put into musical notes so that it can be
on translation.
Yeah.
Translation and teaching to the notes.
But ask Palishuk, Sasha Palishuk. He will know this. He will know this.
Okay, we will do that. Are there any other questions for our past? Yes, I see Stanley has a question.
Stan Minor or Stan Minor.
Yeah, Randall, I just like to make a comment. So as I said, I'm in Seattle in the United States, and I am the president of the U.S. division this year of the Russia-United States Intercountry Committee. So I have regular contacts with Russian Rotarians and Russian clubs. This issue of bank account and being legally registered, yeah, it's a thorny issue that each club, what basically happens, it depends on what I've found out from, I speak Russian fluently, and talking to Russian Rotarians, is that it depends greatly on the situation in the particular city where you're located. And in some cities, the authorities are, relatively speaking, hands-off and don't look as skeptically at Rotary clubs as other cities do. And it depends on basically the local office of the FSB, I guess. And as you said, and others said, people often aren't willing to take the risk to be the one to be the treasurer maybe and open a bank account and get registered. The way you don't open a bank account first, you got to get registered first. But nonetheless, yeah, it's a difficult situation. And I'm telling, US Rotarians and US clubs, just let the Russians figure it out. I mean, you have to. It's their place. They know how things work or don't work, and so for grants and money, there are clubs that have good relationships in their cities, and clubs in other cities where they aren't registered and they don't have bank accounts. They just use these other clubs to monitor be the conduit through which the monies flow. And it seems to be working out. They are doing a global grant or two here, and it's gradual and not as easy or quick as we would like, and we're accustomed to maybe in our countries. But anyway, and I wonder about other Rotary clubs in St. Petersburg. Does any of you members know whether they have their own bank accounts and they are registered? Because if they are, then maybe they just have good friends in high places who who look the other way, so to speak, or whatever. But I'm just curious. Do you know about that?
Yes, Dean, there's, if I'm not mistaken, one club who is officially registered. There's just a little difference. They are Russians. We are foreigners.
Okay, I see. I can see where that could be an issue. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions from the floor?
Maybe also to add to
Oh, good. Kai, you get 10 minutes. Go ahead.
I'm very happy to see Alexander. So it's the same job as I had. So like colleagues, it's very nice. And I wanted to add to this registration stuff. It's not only that it might be difficult, it also obliges us to fulfill a lot of formal requirements in Russia, which are especially for foreigners somehow difficult in many aspects. And so we are kind of circle of friends, and we wanted to get better status, but at the moment we simply cannot afford, because we would spend all our energy for these administrative things, and some, how to say, fun in Rotary would be diminished by this. And so we work on our club life, and so we also, unfortunately, Michael dropped off the line, but it's one of our priorities to keep our club alive and to provide this Rotary feeling within. And so we are only a few people, and so we have now this possibility or this challenge with the pandemic and with the Zoom and everything. So we try to make the best out of it. But at the moment, and I think I can speak for everybody, we have no energy to really deal with bureaucracy and so on, unfortunately.
No, and since it works, just keep it the way it is.
Yeah, but when Rami does a good job and we get to 50 members, then and a lot of bankers in there, then I'm sure we can get the paperwork fixed. And
Rami, I think you're sideways. Your head looks in a different angle. Well, I would like to thank you, past President Alexander, on behalf of all of our club. If everybody could give a big round of applause. It's amazing that you were able to find some of those gems, those photographs, and particularly for the first meeting in front of the Odin restaurant. I think that's very cool. And you sent me the presentation earlier, so I have that. And I will share that with all of our members who will find it very interesting.
Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen who are visiting us today from abroad, do any of you have anything you would like to say or share with us today? If anybody does want to share something, make some sign. Walter?
Yes, I would have one question as well, which is probably going directly to the entire Rotary society I have here now. I'm a very young member of Rotary Club, and I have this subjective thing in my mind, also having now heard the discussion of new potential member, how to get trustful people on board, how to get people on board who also can enforce and create change. And I'm not sure if this is a secret, but Rotary has a bit of an issue with new members and also with a bit younger members in that sense. So what I want to know, maybe from the round, or Alexander or Stan or other people, has there been throughout the very long age of Rotary some organizational changes, some rejuvenating processes, as I would call them, when the organization somehow did initiate it from the top or from within on how to kind of get itself on a new ways of doing things? Or is it always something which every club defines from himself, by himself, locally, or the city it is, or the area it is? I think this could be a crucial point right now, as generations change and our digital approach is changing, the mindset is changing. How was that dealt with throughout this long history of Rotary? Whoever is willing to answer this question, just raise their hand. It's just, for me, very interesting. I've been in this club for a year now, but never have had these issues. Alexander, you want to give it a go? Yeah, and then David.
Yeah, for me, the basics of Rotary are the same. The four-way test, the objectives of the whole thing, the friendship, the networking thing is the same. Then what differs over time is how you implement this, Walter. The club that Berit and me became member of, Rotary Club of Stege, is a typical Western Rotary club, focused more on the local. So 20 years ago, you would find, this is a small city, you would find all the, how can you say, top people, you know, the banker, all the shopkeepers, etc. Then what happens is that as time passes, you know, people might not know so much about Rotary. In Denmark, a lot of people, they don't know what it is. So many of the clubs have not ensured to engage new members on a continuous basis. I always say that a Rotary club should have 10% new members every year, you know, because people come and go, they die, etc. So if you keep the 10% rule, then you keep it going. Then from the top level, there has been a lot of rejuvenating ideas, but in the end, the whole thing comes down to the club. You know, it's based on the club. It's how the club attracts new members. That's how I see it. And this online thing, for example, we have started doing also online meetings. After Berit and me, we put a lot of pressure on the club and said from spring already that we should do it. That didn't work, but we started in December. And when you read the Rotarian, you can see that a lot of clubs have gained members because of the online option, you know. And so this is a momentum that you should check, you know. But you should never, in my point of view, you should never compromise on the core ideas, which are the same things. That's because then you dilute, you know, then it implodes. And the basic ideas and the basic how can I say, moral setup of a Rotarian fits very well with the young people today. You know, if you go to the core roots, that's what they want. What they don't want is to enter a club where old men are sitting eating food and talking about the classmates and who were the prettiest girls in the second class. You know, nobody wants to hear that. So we should get away from that, you know, and get into action. The more you do, the more members you will get, and that is what young people want to do.
Alexander,
Okay,
I think
thank you,
our
Alex.
challenge this
David?
year is because of COVID that we've stopped meetings, or we don't have the dinner problem because we're not meeting for dinner. But we're not having the physical contact together that we used to have, which made it so much easier to initiate and implement little projects where we get to know each other.
Yeah. First of all, Walter, excellent question. And Alexander, thank you for a tremendous history of this very impressive club that I've had the privilege to guest at quite frequently over the last year or so. Back to your question, Rotary is wrestling with these, and it's wrestling with them a little more intensively than it used to, in part because of the COVID-19 crisis and its impact on sustainable development goals, its impact on peace, its negative impacts in many directions. So there have been a couple of conferences recently where some leading Rotarians have spoken. There's one in particular in Turkey about 10 days ago. And as soon as that conference is up, I'm going to be sending the coordinates to Randall and Michael for sharing, because some of the people there spoke about some of these things. Peter Kyle, who is my zone director, district zone 3334 in the greater DC, Virginia, the whole Southeast US, he's spoken about what Rotary's comparative advantages are. One of them is the peace building capacity, building understanding between different Rotarians in different countries. And this club is a classic illustration of that. So more will be coming, and it's a great question you asked.
Thank you, David.
Concerning, involvement of youth, Rotary has been trying a lot harder and working on integrating Rotaract into the overall structure of Rotary. There has tended to be a gap in the United States anyway. Most, as I understand, most Rotaract clubs are connected to a college or university. And then people are in the club for 2 or 3 or maybe maximum 4 years. They rotate out, they drop out, they never join Rotary. Rotary is trying to change that by working with Rotaract and integrating Rotaract and its members more into the overall activities of Rotary. One way they're trying to do it also is they're setting up Rotaract clubs that are not tied to a university, but are just for a city or a neighborhood or section of a city. So it isn't easy, it isn't yielding great results so far, but Rotary is certainly acutely aware of this situation and working hard to do it. But Alexander, once again, thank you very much for an excellent presentation. And you're absolutely right about action. You do projects and you're active in your community, that attracts people, that gets them engaged and gets them to invite others, say, hey, we're doing, I'm in this group and you wouldn't believe what good things they're doing. You should come and be part of it. And, we have great fellowship too. So anyway, but thank you all very much. This is really good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're approaching the end of our day here. And I think if everybody has a glass, I don't have much left in my glass, but if you happen to have a glass, if you could charge it, I think we should thank Alexander, and we should have a toast to our 16th birthday, which just passed according to what Alexander said. So here's to our club, 16 years.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, SIRC or RCSPI or whatever our acronym is. As you've all said, we are trying our best to be a bridge between overseas and Russia, and we're really looking forward to being able to do more hands-on projects, as Stan mentioned, and as Walter would very much like us to do. We're missing the human contact of being together as a club in our hotel, the Angleterre, where we still theoretically are meeting. We hope to go back there soon. Meanwhile, we're very, very fortunate to be able to have all of you join us And it is a big success that over the past year, out of this problem, we've been able to build stronger relationships with you overseas. And we know that's going to bear a lot of fruit in the future. And thank you very much, all of you who have proposed speakers to us and who have yourselves been agreed to speak or will agree to speak to us in the near future. We really appreciate that. And we welcome any other suggestions you have for people who might speak to us. And we do hope that we will be able to grow this club to much stronger numbers over the next year. So having said that, I do actually have a bell I found right beside me. Luckily, I have a little bell. So I'm going to ring the bell to officially close this meeting. And we welcome you all to come back and join us next week when we will be learning about the Maktaba project in Nairobi.